what can you say? Aman, he literally just brought his king back, allowing in the knight because he had 1 second on the clock. And he worked so hard 2 games with black just to lose both of them deep in the game due to time trouble.
Yeah, exactly. There really is no other way to describe it. That's just Magnus. That's a Magnus classic. He always plays the position on, so it's not that he had a big advantage, but you always got to worry about the clock. There is the Magnus effect where you just assume his moves and his intentions are the correct ones and that there's something to worry about. So all that put together, 3 seconds on the clock, I mean, he's going to make a mistake at some point, and he really hadn't until that moment. So just bad timing, and yet again, Magnus pulls a win out of absolutely nothing.
Having said that, his game with black was definitely a stomp. So this time he goes for e4, e5, looking not to get too crazy in a Sicilian defense. Already a 3-point lead is absolutely brutal to overcome when you're playing against Magnus. Like, this is already safe, which is kind of messed up, you know, but he's just trying to play different types of games. I'm curious if he's going to play mostly e5, c5. I'm curious if he's going to play like a French defense or two just to play different structures. But right. Jose much faster this game, Aman. Only 5 seconds spent.
Yeah, deciding that he's just going to adopt a quick strategy. Sometimes that I find myself doing that in matches. Especially if I'm behind, I'm like, you know what? Let me stop trying to play my absolute best chess. Let me just play quick and see what happens. And usually, you know, I follow that principle in the opening, and then I kind of slow down and just regress back to my normal, my status quo.
But this looks nice, I do have to say. Having
it's a great position.
A few things have looked nice so far in this match.
And that's right.
Now, what do we do from here? Last time you said knight e1 to d3. That's still an idea, just you have to move your rook first. Where does this knight go? Where do some of these pieces go? What's Jose planning?
Yeah, it's tough to say. The f5 square is never that useful. There's always g6 available. So I do think about bringing that knight. The d3 square looks great, but you know, the rook being on e1 actually is enough to probably dissuade me. Like, I don't know if I want it as much as I'm going to play rook e2 and knight e1. So the only other option is really knight d2. It's great to protect on e4, but you always have to remember, you know, Magnus has his maneuvers as well. Even though the bishops are going to be traded with an idea like bishop b6, I do think that Magnus is slowly inching towards a little bit better maneuvering than Jose so far.
h6 is interesting because it doesn't allow black to play the move g6 anymore. That's like the first thing that I thought of, because h6 would be weak, but I guess the idea is to then maybe use the king as well. Wow, bishop c7. This strikes me as a little bit of a waiting game. This strikes me as a little bit of a come get me.
Yeah, you have to watch out for that move. Rook d1, and basically he needed the bishop on c7 as an intermediate move just to allow for the d-pawn to be defended.
Is there a g4? I just feel like with everything on the other side of the board, can I just go g4 here? h4, g5?
I don't mind it. You know, I don't mind it so much that I might even play g3, king g2, and then build it up. But yeah, that was g4. I like that idea.
But if you play c5, you are not going g4. So
that's correct.
Jose is going to play on the queen side. He's going to play where all his pieces are, which definitely makes sense. Now, I am a bit perplexed about the time spent here, considering you push the pawn and it could be taken.
Well, is he going to take on c6? Because I thought that he did this to take on c6 and then just recapture on c5. But instead, he goes for this, which, you know, bishop e7. That's probably why, yep, pawn takes on d5 would have pretty much just lost the game there.
Shockingly, Magnus not falling for it. And now we are heading for a symmetrical position.
It seems to me like pawn takes on c6 is the move that you want just to take control of this knight. But, I mean, rook takes, I can understand it. It really feels like pawn takes is better just to cover the knight. And Magnus doesn't want to deal with knight d5.
and the position is equal, but you're getting that sense again, Amon.
Yeah, I wonder, are we like what White's position is great, and it's one of those things where it feels like if the players were flipped, like they were playing the other color and Magnus had white, we'd be saying, yeah, okay, Magnus got a weak c6 pawn, just going to be controlling the d file, moving in slowly for the kill, queen c4. But because it's flipped, I'm like, okay, Magnus has got the open b file, moving in for the kill, queen b7.
Yeah, we're front running whatever color that he's playing. Yeah, White's going to get the c5. The pawns are in the way of the knight, but Magnus will figure it out if he's playing with White.
And if we're thinking it, then Jospim at some point, you start to think of things that way as well. And it's a terrible habit to get into, respecting your opponent a little bit too much. Need to be completely fearless, because the reality is Jose has a very nice position and there's absolutely zero wrong with it.
Yes, the rook is hanging now, so probably he is considering something like a queen d2. The thing is, White is always so close to trading off on the last rank of the board that I don't know that it's even possible to play the position for a win, even if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Magnus will be dying to play this position for a win, but, well, he's done it already multiple times. Just, this is definitely not a similar type of position to what we've seen.
And I think what Magnus does, though, is he, look at the time. It's 3 minutes, 2 minutes and a half. So he just wants to keep playing. He wants to see, he'll take a draw if it must be a draw, but he'll play it to the bitter end. Probably he would be willing to make a draw in that previous knight end game if Jospim had played, just a few more moves correctly. You never know. But he's going to keep playing because he wants to see how comfortable is my opponent in pure time scramble. Is he able to maintain equality over 30, 40 moves?
Yeah. By the way, I'm not feeling particularly optimistic. So, Jose is going to make a few more moves, but last game, Amon, he literally defended all the hardest parts of the game.
Yep.
And then just moved his king back and lost, right? When you're losing games like that, if you're Magnus, you're kind of thinking it's just a matter of time. And he's not even afraid to go to this queenless endgame. Just trading.
Yeah, we saw this in the previous matchup. It just felt like Alireza at some point gained so much confidence, and someone is off screen there. I wonder who that could have been. Magnus briefly looked up from his cam and started laughing uncontrollably. So I feel like that's when, you're getting set for a school photo and your friends are behind the camera making faces and you're trying to keep a straight face.
Yeah, maybe David Howell came in and pranked his friend by lifting his shirt up or something. The crazy stuff that goes on in the Dave cave, better that it's off camera. But I mean, look at this, just walking the king into the middle of the board and laughing and drinking orange soda. Don't we all wish we could play like Magnus?
Yeah, that's...
He made a huge mistake there.
Knight d5 and queen takes e5. Magnus raises his eyebrows right now because he just saw it. He just noticed, because now it's a threat. And it's just so funny. You're talking about Magnus in the Dave cave drinking orange soda. That's what happens. He took this too seriously. Went king f8, king e7. That was wrong. Knight d5, a huge miss.
Knight d5, the idea of which was to block the queen's defense of the pawn, and if the queen were to have landed there would have been a double attack. By the way, I'm not even sure Jose saw it.
No, I don't think he did. He was just going routine, because when you're playing Magnus, you're not expecting this random king move to allow you this amazing tactic. You're just saying, okay, he's bringing the king to the middle. Let me do the same.
That would have been the clip right there. Cracking up, stuff happening in the background, takes a sip of soda, walks the king into a devastating tactic and loses on the spot. There you go. But what can Jose do here? Some queenie rook e2.
It's a mentality thing, because he's just shuffling back and forth, defending. Magnus is applying pressure at every junction, and in the one moment Jose had, he wasn't looking for anything.
Jocelyn's got to get on the board. He's got 4 seconds. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
what do you
no.
do? B2, like, how do you defend it? He is just dropping pawns left, right, and center. Speaking of center, E5 is hanging.
Yeah, I drew the arrow, rook d4, kind of a nice shutting down move, but maybe there's something even better.
I like that move.
Must be nice. I feel like these games aren't even being won. If anything, they are being lost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that feeling that Jospin he's just sitting there playing defense, and eventually something is going to go amiss.
H5, nice kind of instigating type of move. Maybe get a pawn to g4. A4, A3 when you need it.
Yep. H4, maybe inducing G4, and he plays rook takes E4. So
oh, he just missed B3.
And wait a minute. After rook here, queen G5. Is this what he's spying? And maybe some sack on F6 with knight E4 at the end.
Oh my goodness. Magnus totally missed rook F6.
Yeah.
And he is annoyed.
Jospin, the counter puncher. He had an opportunity for a big moment earlier. He sees it now. And E4, queen F4. He was even ready for that move. 1 second, though. 1 second.
No, but this is inescapable. This is made on the board. Queen F7.
Is it? I mean, it is, but is it? Queen A7.
Yeah, Queen E7 is nice, and now Rook B8. There it is. Wow.
Look at that. Cool, calm, collected with 1 second on the clock. That is a really impressive victory because he had to find some big tactics, Levy. It's one thing for Magnus to miss it. It's another to see it and the sarcastic thumbs up as he acknowledges his own shortcomings in that game.
Yes, or I think they were just briefed that we're going to take a break after this, and Magnus gave the thumbs up, not to break the fourth wall. But Aman, we were writing the eulogy over here for Jose Martinez, and out of nowhere he's on the board.
Yeah, and deservedly so. He should be on the board. When you think about the positions that he's had, absolutely. As we go to the midpoint here, we're at the halfway point of the 5+1 portion. Jospin getting a great victory and the result you want to have right before a break, Levy.